So doing its thing. Okay, we are finally live on YouTube. Great, awesome. All right, so we're gonna get started. I think people will just start joining and tuning in as we progress. So because I know you guys have a long day to go. So thank you everybody, everyone who's joining in. Make sure that you are having more and more people join us today. This is another edition of Shown on Demand. Finally, and I would be the one who needs to mute my YouTube. Okay. Oh gosh, did I do that? Oh. You guys, 1 second. I need to do that one more time. Oh. Okay, we're live streaming. I just need to, I think for some reason I kind of closed my own video out, but let's do that again. YouTube Studio. If you're joining, don't worry, we're getting it together. Just make sure you're hanging in there. I know we have a few people joining and videos. Okay, so today today's going to be, I know you guys don't want to hear this, but it's going to be the last one, the last episode in the series tackling the issue of racism. I know a lot of people wanted us to, have politicians on, have religious leaders on, but at some point in time, I feel like at this point in time, we're going to have to bring farm animals to come and have a conversation with us if we keep going on and on, because every single person, everyone has one thing or the other, to contribute to this discussion. So, but we're just going to, let's just end it and round it up with the college students so that we can take a little break. We've been going for, I think, 6 weeks or 7 weeks straight now with different discussions. If you're just joining us for the very first time, we had a conversation with the fathers, on how they're handling their sons, when it comes to the issue of racism, police brutality. We had a conversation with the mothers. We had a conversation with our Caucasian friends, to hear things from their own perspective and how they're raising children to, not be racially biased, right? And then we went on that. We talked to some mental health experts as well on the things that we should be learning and knowing and how to handle this kind of issues, the conversations to have with our children and our family members regarding racism, and of course, the whole COVID thing. And then we went on that, and then we had a law enforcement officer last week who talked to us from a law enforcement perspective, the things that we should know. And now finally, we are with our college students. This is the generation, that makes a difference. This is the very next generation. Most of the people that are my age are parents to kids of this age at this point in time and younger. So I'm excited that we have them here because it's very, very important to hear what they have to say. And one of the reasons why I'm bringing this up is, and I wanted this discussion to happen is, as Africans, right, the African community in general, you guys are guilty parents. Because a lot of Africans always think the issue of race or the fight for equality in America is not our fight, right? And guess what? I hate to be a bearer of bad news. It is your fight as well, as long as you live in this country. Some of you are citizens, it is your fight. And while you might think it doesn't, I just want to, we have, and you guys will not blame your parents, okay, on the complacency when it comes to things like that. It's based on where we were raised, the country that we were raised in, okay? We just do what we're told to do because we don't want to get in trouble. We don't question, that's, and I'm sure this sounds very familiar when you try to start asking your parents questions, like, don't question me, who are you to question me? Right, you see them nodding your head, don't question me, don't ask me any question, you do as I say. That's how we were raised, and that's the kind of community and culture that we grew up in. Our formative years were in that culture, but for you guys, it's entirely different. So your parents need to hear what your experiences are, and that way they can better support you. And for those who have children who are not yet in college, but are, will soon be in college, this is also for them, so they know the kind of conversations to have with their children to prepare them. So ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start with a brief introduction of all of our panelists. I'm going to start with my, on YouTube, she's on my right-hand side. So we're going to start with Lola Ojaumo. Lola, tell us I already mentioned your name, sorry, but tell us.
So my name is Lola Ojama. I am a junior accounting and information systems major, and I go to a PWI. So
Okay, so wait, what is PWI? For those who don't know what PWI is.
politically white institution.
Say what?
So it's like, or predominantly. I said
Predominantly white.
predominantly white.
White institution. Okay, which means that you have more white students there
So
than
they
your
make up like a half or like around 50% of the population.
as white. And guys, we're intentionally holding back their universities just to give them some level of privacy. So we don't want people going to go look for them in that school. So they're just telling us their names and their major. But I promise you, these are legit college students. I didn't go and find them at 7-Eleven. They're legit. All right. So we're going to the other side of Lola on YouTube. That would be Dami. Dami.
Hello, my name is Uluwa Damilolo Kamalafe, and I'm a nursing major, and I go to PWI too.
Oh, okay. Nice. And then right below me would be Dabi.
Hello, my name is Dabi Bolarinwa. I'm a rising junior. I'm an information systems major, minor in computer science. And that school is actually pretty diverse. I wouldn't say that, though, I think there are more, of course, white people, but when I really look at it, I walk around campus, it's actually more diverse than my other school.
Okay, great. And then who disappeared? Where's Gloria?
Hi, my name is Gloria. My major is psychology, and I also go to a PWI. I'm a senior this year.
Okay, so that's Gloria. She's a PWI as well, and she's a senior this year. And then we have to, I think we also have to Gloria's right on YouTube would be Prince.
I have to mute myself. Hi, my name is Prince. I'm a rising sophomore at a PWI, and my major is molecular biology on the pre-med track and a minor in human rights.
Wow, molecular biology, that is some serious stuff. Oh, awesome, great. I'm so excited. And last but not the least, tell us your name.
My name is Tomi Akimosotu. I also go to PWI, and
your volume is low.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Tomi Akinlosotu. I also go to PWI, and my major is political science.
Okay, her major is political science. I think your volume is kind of low. I don't know what happened between when we're testing and now. Let's see if we can work on the volume a little bit so that when you start to speak, we can hear you properly. Okay, all right, great. So now that we've introduced everybody, we're just gonna jump right into the nitty gritty. So, but first and foremost, right, I noticed that a lot of you are, in PWIs, predominantly white institutions, right? Did you guys intentionally want to go to schools like this or, okay, so I know there's the PWIs and then there's also the historically black colleges and universities, the HBCUs, right? Did you guys intentionally want to go to the PWIs versus the HBCUs, or what formed the decisions to choose the universities you're in? Dami, let's go with you first.
You want to start with me first?
Yes, Dami.
Okay. So with me, I wouldn't say it was intentional, but when I look around and see the areas and colleges I was looking into, it just happened to be that. But I look and see that the HBCUs other than Howard I feel like some of them are underfunded,
okay,
and things like that. So when I looked into, I just happened to go to a PWI. I don't think it was intentional, but I also wanted to be another thing around a diverse amount of people. Like the school I attend, it's a PWI, but it also has a diverse, other people go there too. So like I wanted to be around, like, step out of my comfort zone a little bit too.
Okay.
That's
okay.
real life, I guess. Yeah.
That makes sense. Lola Ojama, what formed your decision to?
I agree too. I didn't specifically say I want to go to a PWI, but for my majors, my school is accredited for them. Okay. So not many HBCUs had those majors and were accredited for it. Yeah. So I kind of had to eliminate them from the discussion because for just my major's sake. And then also I agree with the underfunded part, because my school does offer a wide variety of different things that I could be active in that I feel the HBCUs I was looking at didn't really offer me. So I kind of had to choose between that.
And that awesome, great. And Prince, what formed your decision to choose your school?
Really, it was financial reasons that helped me make the decision. I had to choose between an HBCU and a PWI.
Okay.
And I ended up choosing the PWI just because it gave me more money. I mean, seeing that I go there right now, it is not as it depends on the area that you go to on campus,
Mhm.
how like white it is.
It is.
Like, where I live, I was able to meet like a lot of my friends, like including Dami. So it really just depends on where you go to on campus. But I think I'm not gonna say like I regret choosing this school,
Mhm.
but that's how it was. Like that's how it ended up being for me, what, a year ago with me choosing schools.
With you choosing schools, okay. So do you guys feel like the PWIs do more to attract students of, you know, of Black color? Do you feel like they do more to bring you guys in than HBCUs? Everyone is thinking.
I think it depends on who you're talking to, like
Okay.
as in like attracting people.
Yeah.
Like for example, athletes, PWIs will do anything they need to do to get some Black athletes at their school because most of our top athletes in the nation in high school are Black or like Indigenous, and that's how it ends up being. And then there are HBCUs that don't have the privilege of getting those top athletes in the nation because they can't afford them. So it's really at where you look at in terms of like who are PWIs chasing for, who are schools chasing for in general.
Okay. Debbie, was there any particular reason why you chose your school?
In a way, yes. I purposely chose one PWI, one HBCU, and the school that I currently go to, which is diverse. I chose I did want to go to PWI, not because of the race or anything, but because my parents wanted me to go there.
Yeah.
Plus, I wanted to see different people. Because like here in the county that I live in, it's not majority of Black people,
Yeah.
and of course it's diverse as well.
Yeah.
But I did end up like I got accepted into the PWI and the diverse school, but not the HBCU.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because it's the HBCU that I actually did want to go to at first, but I did end up going to
You didn't want to go to, or you wanted to go to?
I wanted to go to the HBCU,
Okay.
but I did end up going to the PWI, and it was great. It was fun, but at the same time, I just decided to leave and go to the school that I go to now.
Okay, awesome. What about you, Gloria? You're muted.
Sorry, that's embarrassing. Okay, can you rephrase the question again?
Okay, so what informed your decision to choose the school that you were in, like an HBCU versus a PWI?
Okay, so I was about to speak more of my personal experience, but then I have to remember why I really chose it in the first place.
Audio, I think your audio is also low as well. Let's increase the audio.
Can you hear me better now?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So the main reason that I chose my school was because two of my older sisters went there. So I felt I would have more guidance. And I also had a lot of anxiety about going to college.
Yeah.
So it felt better for me to, be able to have guidance, specifically to everything that they were talking about, because this is how this professor is. And this is how this is. But I also chose it because I went to Towson High School. So like I said, I was already I had that culture shock of being around a whole bunch of white people already. So it was kind of a familiarity for me. But I wanted to speak about when I first got to Towson High School, which is 10 minutes down the street. It was about the same as it is in the Mike type Towson High School and Towson College. They're kind of the same, where it's I don't really experience a lot of direct hate, but there's more of those microaggressions, and you can just tell.
We're gonna get there very soon before we jump right into that. We're gonna get right there, okay? Just one thought. So tell me, what formed your decision to choose the school that you're in right now? We can't hear you.
Initially,
I didn't hear anything you just said.
Okay, go ahead, Tommy.
initially I wanted to go to an HBCU, but the first school I got to happened to be a PWI, and like I was looking at like kind of the culture and the area it was in, and I felt like it was a good distance for me to be able to kind of have my own life but also see my family like at reasonable times. So
Yeah.
and also like I also think a lot about what would have been different if I picked a HBCU, like how the kind of like the community is, like how you feel more like you belong as opposed to PWI where you're kind of like disrupting a white space. So I feel like sometimes I think I would have enjoyed HBCU more, but honestly, there's no way I can possibly tell. So
Okay. Okay. All right. Great. So thank you guys for sharing, your reasons for choosing the schools that you guys are in now. So we're going to delve right into it. As you guys know, we are talking about racism, right? And with the whole issue with George Floyd, that kind of just, I think, brought this to the surface for everybody one more time, like a reminder, racism is still happening, like somebody waving a flag in everybody's faces. And I believe you guys school was still in session, right? When all of this happened. Was it? Was school still in session when George Floyd happened? No, it was COVID. COVID was always in session at that point in time. Yes. Okay. So, but what was your initial thought? The very moment you guys heard what happened, that another Black man, unarmed, had been gunned down by not gunned down, but killed by law enforcement. What was the first thing that came to your mind? Lola or Jamo, we'll start with you. What was the first thing that crossed your mind?
I think because of what happened to like Ahmaud months before, and then Breonna Taylor, like literally not even too like far in time. I feel like that really, I felt like, this might sound weird, but like it wasn't desensitized, but it was just like that same dread that comes over every time a case like this happens. It's just like, oh my gosh, it happened again. I feel like because for me, I feel like I was more interested in it because everyone's at home. So like nobody's running to work or like running to school or anything. So you have to see it, like whether you like it or not. You have to
pay attention and process it.
You have to process it in any way, and you have to engage. And I felt like it's so unfortunate that it had to take someone literally dying on video for people to force themselves to see it. I wish that people were able to figure out how to process it in this time without somebody having to die. But for me personally, after hearing about it, it really shook me because like it could have been my dad or it could have been like my brothers.
Yeah.
I think kind of going back to your point about how African parents or African immigrants sometimes don't connect it, but at the same time, like the police aren't stopping to ask you where you're from. So it was kind of like, yo, that could have happened to anyone. And I think everywhere I was listening to a lot of like the Black leaders that I follow and stuff were like, that could have been me. And I saw myself there.
Yeah.
So I think it was very like, it hit a little too close to home, I think, for a lot of people, like it always does. So that was sort of my like initial reaction for it.
Okay. Danny?
I think honestly, if I need to answer, I think the first thing I felt was anger. I was very angry. I'm still very angry. I continue to be very angry because I just think about like, if police officers are able to do this in a camera, just imagine, like my mind can't fathom the things they're doing behind the scenes, like what the system is doing and the police officers are doing behind that. You can be recorded and you still continue to do that. Really,
yeah.
I don't know. I was very angry, and I'm just like, the fact that someone had to record that, and that's the reason why it went viral.
The police officer knew he was being recorded, right? Because he could see the person recording like in front of him.
And he didn't care. He's like, I know I'm going to be protected. I know that even if I do go to jail, my sentence is going to be, he didn't care. All he was going through his mind is like, I'm going to do what I want to do. And for me, I'm still very angry. I'm continuing to be very, I've always been angry about this type of stuff, but it's so sad that you have to record these things for these things to go viral. And I just think about, what about the people who have died where it's not recorded? What about their justice? I just think like that's the initial thought was like, okay, it's sad about what happened to George Floyd, but like I can just think about the many other people who've gone through stuff like this, and it's unfortunate that nobody was able to record it.
Yeah.
And it's like I was just angry, and I was like, okay, this is just sad.
I can imagine.
Watch someone die on camera.
Yeah. Prince, what was your initial thought when you heard this?
When I first, I think it's someone said this before with the Ahmaud Arbery incident, like what happened when he was murdered. Before like that first time, not first time, but that instance while I was in school, I was like really angry about it. And I went on a whole like rampage about it. Not rampage, but like rant on like social media and stuff, and with the people that I was talking to in at that time. So when the George Floyd thing happened, I was kind of like done with it. Not done, but like I was like, okay, something needs to change. Like I feel like I need to do something myself.
Yeah.
Within my community to inform people that there are we're in a country where the majority that we live around like want to see us fall. And that's like that's what ran through my mind every single day after the murder of George Floyd. And even after, there are still people being murdered like in our community while like everything's like been happening all around us, the protests and everything. So I mean, that was my reaction when it happened.
Yeah. Wow. Tommy, what was your reaction? How did you feel? Your audio.
Back to what Lola said about being desensitized, like over the
Speak
past
up a little
years,
bit. We can barely hear you, Tommy.
going back to what Lola said about being desensitized, over the past years, like I've seen so many headlines, so many stories about Black people whose lives being taken for granted and not being valued.
Mhm.
And like, I remember like back in 2014 with the Mike Brown incident, that was really my first taste of like what goes on outside of my area, because I grew up in PG County. So like racism like that, it wasn't really a prominent thing where I lived. So I wasn't really aware of like things going on outside my community until that happened and it blew up. And Black Lives Matter really became a movement. And then it just brought back the same feelings of just like, it's just sad that like our lives are just seen as lesser just because of the color of our skin.
Yeah. Gabby, how did you feel?
Oh, yeah, actually, like my first reaction was like, whoa, I'm more safe than I think. So, you know, the county that we live in, of course, there's a lot of Black people, and we never really have to truly worry about anything like that, like happens that like has to do with racism.
Mhm.
Sorry about that, but it has to do with racism. Like, I don't. It's kind of weird, but I don't fear the cops here. But I know that if I have to leave that if I leave my county, if I leave my state, that I have to worry about, you know, my life, and I have to worry about cops. I remember driving to Georgia with my family, and then I woke up in North Carolina in the car ride, and they told me we were here, and my heart started racing because like I was like, whoa, you know, like, you know, something can happen to me. Like I don't know what can happen, but it's crazy that that I feel so protected here, but nowhere outside my county. And that makes me think like, man, what about all the other Black people who live in, you know, in other states that racism is, you know, heavily, like, is definitely prevalent. And like where they say like Minneapolis, like I know there has to be a lot of white people there, and I can't imagine like of course what they have to deal with and the thoughts that go through their mind. So even though I don't experience it like firsthand, I've never had, but I understand the pain, and I still feel that pain. That's why I would never, you know, that's why I would never leave the state, leave where I live. And it's crazy that we have to stay, like I have to stay in a Black community just for me to, you know, feel safe for my own life. Yeah, so yeah, it just made me really upset, and I was like, I just kept thinking of it, like, man, like I'm actually like really lucky to be where I am compared to other Black people in, you know, their other states.
Yeah. Gloria, how did you feel when you first heard about what happened with George Floyd?
I agree with Tommy. Like I was very desensitized. I clicked out of the video. I was like, well, like I hope he doesn't die, and I hope they don't kill him in jail, and I hope he doesn't end up like Sandra Bland. And then it just broke my heart to like wake up the next morning and see that he was just another statistic. So after that, basically did what almost everybody did, tried to like, you know, sign as many petitions as I can, try to stay as safe as possible while making my voice heard. Because at the end of the day, like they are not going to stop until we make them hear us. So
yeah. So quick question, guys. Have you ever been, do you guys drive? Does everyone here drive? You guys drive?
Not really.
Yeah.
All right. So for those of you that drive, right, have you ever been pulled over by a cop?
Yes.
You have? What was that experience for you like, Prince?
Okay, first of all, I am a good driver. So it was DC. That's why. Like it was literally like it's so difficult to drive there. But what happened was I turned too early and the like I guess the sirens behind me and like the cops following me. And I was like, okay, I need to pull over. But there was like nowhere to pull over to. So I pulled into a parking garage. Like the first parking garage that I saw, I pulled into because there was no opening on the side of the road and I couldn't just stop in traffic because that would just make things worse. So when I stopped the first chance I got in the parking garage, they were like really aggressive when they approached me.
Wow.
And then after, the dude was like, "You're lucky that you stopped when you did because we thought you were trying to run away."
What?
And I was like, "How would I be trying to run away when I'm driving like as slow as possible, but trying to like move and try to park the first chance I get?" And there was nothing on this, like nowhere on the side to park. And then I was like approached very like aggressively,
Yeah.
like throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was just a weird experience trying to be there. Like the first thing I did was put my hands on the dashboard because I just did not want anything
Yeah.
like my like anything being misconstrued.
Yeah.
And like just throughout the whole thing, even though I was like respectful and I did everything that like I've been told to do in that situation and everything like my brain would tell me to do, like that was right in the situation.
Were you
I
afraid?
did.
Were you scared?
I mean, I wasn't afraid. I didn't have a reason to be scared. It was just the fact that I mean, I had a reason to be scared, but I wasn't like morbidly like afraid. Like I just put my hands on the dashboard and just was respectful and stuff because I didn't want anything to like get out of hand because
Yeah.
they already were telling me like, oh, we thought you were trying to get away from us when I was driving like 0.2 like miles trying to get to like the most like available
Yes,
space.
that's where you could like turn right into.
Yeah. And then throughout like I was being respectful and everything and they were still being aggressive and it was just a weird situation. Like
Yeah.
it was the first and only time that I myself when I was driving I'd been pulled over.
Pulled over. Dabby, have you been pulled over before?
No, I have not, but I mean, I still have the fear because of literally what we see on what's
What you
reported,
see.
and we don't see everything that happens to every
Yeah.
black person that gets pulled over. But I'm not afraid of like having to like be pulled over, but I'm afraid of the situation that could happen. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
don't know how they could react. Like he said, like they came at him aggressively, even though he was literally going really slow. I let them know
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm trying to pull over. I'm just trying to pull over safely.
Yeah.
Like that's the type of situation that I'll be scared of. That
Yeah.
if a cop comes up to me,
Yeah.
but I haven't experienced that. So thank God.
Okay. Tommy, you wanted to say something? Have you been pulled over before? Audio? Why does your audio always back off?
I don't know. Okay, I'm just gonna yell.
Speak
that.
up, speak
Usually
up,
I don't drive.
speak
I
up.
don't drive, but I was just gonna add that it's crazy because you can do everything that they ask you to. You can be respectful and do everything correctly, and you could still.
Tommy, we can barely hear you. Do you have headphones? Go get your headphones. Do you have headphones you can use?
Yeah.
Go get the headphones. We can barely hear you. Gloria, while we're waiting for Tommy, have you been pulled over before?
No, but I've been anticipating for it.
Oh boy. What does that mean? What is that? What do you mean by being anticipating? Like I'm like what? I'm ready. Pull me over if you guys like it. I'm ready.
I know I'm trying to make sure that I know my rights even under pressure. Because
Yeah.
I've seen videos and they get so scared when you when you know your rights, and that's pretty much all you need. Well, not always because they're terrorists, but
You might know your rights, and that might not save you at any point in time, right? You know what I mean?
a few.
So let me ask you this: have your parents, all of you, even the ones that don't drive, sorry, Dan, 1 second. Have your parents all had a conversation with you about when you do drive or when you have an encounter with a police officer, what you're supposed to do? Have your parents all had that conversation with you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dami?
Yeah, I just wanted to add about the driving. I personally don't drive that much, but I'm learning like in the span of next year, I'm gonna get my driver's license stuff.
Nice.
But I do recall when I first got my learner's permit about a year ago, and you know, everybody, when you first drive, everybody wants to practice in their neighborhood. So what I did is I went to like we had like an open driveway place
Mhm.
close to us around the park. And thinking about this actually makes me so sad. So when I was driving, my mom's practicing. Oh, this is my first time ever driving, doing it. We have a truck and everything, so we make sure we went to a big place. I'm driving. She's like, okay, you have to stop here. Da, da, da. We're done. She practiced me 10, 15 minutes. And almost when we're done, two police officers come to us. No, it wasn't 3 or 4. Multiple cars came to us. Me and my mom was like, okay, I don't know what we done. We didn't do anything. We have our hands on the dashboard, everything. They come to us, like, oh man, we came over here to see, we saw some suspicious activity.
What?
We
Just
come to
from driving
them.
around?
That's not even driving. We're just in the, like I said, we're in like a lot. Just I'm practicing how to reverse, stuff like that. Perfectly safe. Everything's fine. They come to us and they say that. I'm just like, okay, I have my learner's permit. They're just prepping us to drive. And they just they stay there. They go back in the car and go, okay, ma'am, that's fine. They just stay there to, I don't know, build a fear. Like, okay, well, I'm telling you, they're not going to tell us to leave, but I'm gonna like, so I was like, okay, so if I can't practice in my own neighborhood, when I have a learner's permit to drive, then I'm like, okay, then like that was a year ago. And I'm like, okay, it was like so sad to me. And I was like, okay, it's real. I've been know it's real, but like to actually have that in my own neighborhood, like this is not a neighborhood I've had my learner's permit, and then to come for suspicious activity. It's like somebody in the neighborhood, my neighborhood that has the white had to say, okay, we see somebody, how does a suspicious activity if I'm practicing how to drive? And you know what that looks like. You see me reversing.
Yeah.
So that was my encounter. And I was just like, I remember that time I was so fearful. I was so scared when I haven't done anything wrong. So
That's
that was
terrible.
my
And I bet that also impacts how you would feel and react when you do eventually start driving, right?
Yeah.
And if you ever do get pulled over by a police officer, those kind of experiences stay with you. Right, and then creates that unnecessary fear. You know what I mean? Before the man even approaches, the moment you see the light, you know what I mean, you're already scared. And I'll tell you this, even as an adult, right? I've been pulled over a few times. Maybe I think in the last 20 years, maybe 3 times, 3 times. And I'm actually a very safe driver, guys. So 3 times in 20 years is a very good deal. So, and I think the most recent time was actually about 4 or 5 years ago. And I can't remember what happened then, but I remember that I was just extremely, afraid when the guy was coming. And as soon as he was walking up to me, I had like the biggest, cheesiest smile on my face, like, hello, officer.
Like that fear smile.
I had the biggest cheesiest smile on my face. Like he was like telling me, "Do you know why I pulled you?" But no, okay. Whatever it is that I could do on my end to diffuse or to make sure that don't even get started. Okay, I'm not zero aggression from my end, zero attitude from my end. Just give me a ticket and let's go. Let me go. Whatever the max is, give it to me. I'll go to court and go fight it. And then, they can toss it away or something. So, but I just had and I remember that I think by the time he was done and I brought my cheeks down, like my whole mouth was frozen. I'm just grinning and smiling so much just because I didn't know what he was coming with. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know what he was going to do. All I know is I'm about to talk to somebody and there's a 50-50 chance this could pretty well go left really quickly with my behind tossed to jail or was killed, or it could go very well. It could be a pleasant conversation and he gives me my ticket or my warning or whatever, and we go both ways. But the mere fact that there was a 50% chance that this could go left was enough to have me cheesing, and my whole cheeks was frozen. And my cheeks are big already. So imagine just like this for like the whole 30-minute period. It was ridiculous. So I can imagine what your experiences have been. So Lola, has your mom or your dad ever had that conversation with you about what do you do if a police officer stops you? Or even if you encounter them, it could be driving, it could be, I don't know, where else do they usually stop people? Do they approach you guys when you guys were young? Well, you guys are still young, but when you were in high school and you guys go to the mall, go hang out and stuff like that, do police officers ever come up to you guys like in a parking lot? Like if you guys are gathered together, like, I don't know, like your neighborhood in the parking lot or anywhere, do police officers come up to you guys and start trying to like feel you guys out or anything like that? Do they do that? Tell me.
So
Yes, nice.
okay,
Thank
you can hear me? Okay, okay. Yeah, I have my AirPods now. Okay, so like I used to play outside a lot, as you know, like I was a very outdoorsy kid and I had like a whole group of friends. We will all just like basically explore, ride our bikes and play catch and stuff. And like there's been multiple encounters with the Laurel police just because I don't know if they're just bored or what, but like there's been multiple times where they will literally just like pull over and be like, what are you guys doing? Like, don't get in trouble, blah, 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 or we'll come back and be like, okay, like they would literally just come out of nowhere and we wouldn't be harming anybody. Like we'd literally just minding our business. We'd just be young Black kids just outside and they would just have a problem. And also that police department already know because I know somebody who's experienced brutality at the hands of that police department. So I already had like in my head, like, oh, they're gonna try to like beat us up or something. But it's just like that department in particular, I already know has corruption just because of like how I've seen personally. They literally just come for no reason.
Okay. Lala, have your parents ever had a conversation with you?
Yeah, so because I have two older brothers, their big concern with them, of course, is trying their best to not have them in a situation like that. I think that's a fear that they kind of have. So I'm learning how to drive too still. So whenever like they're talking to me when I'm in the car, I mean, I think not to like divert a little bit, but I do think there are a little bit of like gender dynamics in the way that these conversations do happen, because I feel like for my family, those like have been hammered into my brothers. But for me, it's kind of happened like every, you know, month or so, like or whatever, like whenever they think about it, rather than like really
have that conversation with you.
Yeah, so like it's happened, but like not with as much concern for me as it's happened with like my brothers.
Yeah, because you're very sweet. We know you. We know you. All right, so let's go to the college side, right? You guys are all in college. So let me just point blank throw this out there. Have you ever experienced any kind of racism or racial profiling since you've been in college? Could be with other students, could be with the administration, it could be with your lecturers. Oh, Dabby has his hands up. Okay, Dabby, go.
Oh, it wasn't like a full-on direct thing, but it was more like I guess a microaggression. I think that's the word. Okay. But in my dorm, of course, it was only me and two other Black dudes in the whole dorm, and of course there were Black women there too. But I just started hanging around just because I wanted to make random friends, and I think nearing the end of our first semester, I remember some of the guys. Well, they were, I think it was Indian. Well, one Indian, one white guy, but they were like, you know, Dabby, I didn't know that you were gonna be such a nice guy. I was like, what do you mean? They said, well, because of where they lived, a lot of the Black dudes that were there, they didn't want to associate with anybody else. They just wanted to like stay by themselves. The Black people just wanted to be by themselves. So they just had that thing like, oh, maybe that they're either suspicious or they just hate other races. And they were saying, oh, well, but you're a nice guy. And at first, I took that as a compliment. And then I remember thinking about it later, like, dang, did they think I was just gonna be an aggressive Black dude? No, that's what I thought. But at the same time, I always just try to assume the best for people because I don't like to think the worst. But I just thought maybe that they were actually genuine about what they're saying. But that's probably like the only form of racism I've actually like firsthand experienced in my college. But that was just pretty much it.
Okay, Lala.
So at my school, I'm in like a specific program there, and we all have to like live together in the dorm, and it's like me and I think about like 4 other Black girls, and that's it. Like there are no Black guys in our program either, out of like 60-ish kids. So we were like pretty much a minority there, and I guess that's like the major place where it's never been like outright, like Dabby was saying, it's always been like some sort of like microaggressions here and there, just like things that I guess you should try to be a little more sensitive to think about. I remember one specific instance, we were reading, it's like a humanities program. So we like read a lot of literature and go into that. So we were reading The Color Purple, which is like a book about like a girl who it's like taken all the way back to like slavery, around like when slavery was abolished and everything like that. She goes through like a lot of like assault and like so many different things, and that's like her growth journey and stuff in the book. And I remember like classmates coming to me and my friends and they're like, do you relate with this? And I was like, how am I gonna relate with a book about a girl who like went through sexual assault through like her former slave masters and stuff? Like how can I how can I reconcile that with my own like identity? And I think there have just been some like instances where like our directors would like speak. There was like the weirdest experience where they were like start to use some like vernacular when they're speaking to me and my friends. Not like really big like yo what's up,
like cultural appropriation. That's what it's called, right?
Like a little bit more just in like the language rather than like overall just like the culture. But it would be like you would just be having a normal conversation, then they'll start throwing in some like random like words that I know is not in your vocabulary because you don't speak like that in like big group meetings. So it's like we just go back to our room, and because I was like roommates with one the other Black girl, and we just went back to her room and we're like, you heard what he said, right? Like that wasn't the way he normally speaks. That was really weird to us. So it was just like random little things here and there. But in terms of like outright racism, there have been like some pretty big things that have happened. I mean, I'm not going to really disclose, but there have been some like kind of things that happen. And I'm like in a club where we basically talk to a lot of incoming freshmen for our university. And there's so many parents who come and they're like, so how safe is this university for like Black people? And we have to sort of, you know, try to tell the truth as much as we can, but then we're also like, it's technically our job to still make the university in like a good light. Yeah. So it's like having to sort of talk about those microaggressions, but not in a way that like makes people literally want to run away from the school in general. So yeah, that's sort of just been my experience so far.
Damilola, have you experienced? I know you just completed. Damilola just completed her freshman year. So have you experienced any kind of racism from anyone?
So like everybody else attending a PWI, no one's just gonna like come to you and be like, oh, I hate Black people. No one, at least in my experience, it's not like that. It's more like everyone's just saying microaggression, but also no one talks about micro invalidations too. They'll come to you and be like, okay, as everybody knows, my name is Uluwa Damilola Kamalafe. Over the past years, everybody knows being an African and having a long name or being Nigerian, that name starts to get thinner. Everybody wants to call you Lola, everybody wants to call you Dami, and it's like, okay, I guess if you want to, you know, people to pronounce your name and stuff like that. But I think I just go through like a lot of micro invalidations and microaggressions a lot. Like, for example, like I say my name, Uluwa Damilola Kamalafe. A lot of professors would say my name like, well, I'm just going to call you this. And I feel like they don't mean harm in it, but it's like you're playing into the fact like, you're going to call me what I want to be called.
Yeah.
And stuff like when they say my name, like when they pronounce my name, all of a sudden you want to put on some type of accent, like, oh, Uluwa Dami. Like when you say all of a sudden you want to put on an accent, that doesn't really sit well with me. So that I've been through stuff like that. It's majority like around my name or micro invalidation, like saying, oh, you don't look African. Oh, you don't look Nigerian. You don't sound Nigerian.
Yeah.
Like, but I am Nigerian. I'm Nigerian American. So stuff like that, I think all of us have gone through, even though like you said, we've been desensitized, like you feel like it's not a big deal, but it kind of is. Like this little stuff like that plays into every day. I hear stuff like that all the time, not just in my college, but like throughout my being in school in general.
Yeah.
My name's Lola now, not Dami, not Uluwa Damilola. My name's just Lola. So stuff like that.
Okay. Who else again? Victor, Prince, have you experienced any form of racism?
My brother's name is Victor. That's crazy.
Oh, okay.
Like Dami said, I feel like because I'm in like a bigger area that it's not as easy for me to experience like outright racism. It was more so throughout middle school, high school, and elementary school that I experienced all that stuff. For college, it was more microaggression and micro-invalidation.
Okay.
Both from people within the Black community and outside the Black community. That's my personal experience. Like, you know, from both sides, I've been told like, oh, you're not African, or you can't be Black, or you can't say this, or you can't act like that. And, or you can't. Sometimes like there have been points where I've been told, oh, I can't speak on this matter because I like don't look Black, and I'm like, I'm just as 100% Black as you, so like, what's the correlation with that? And it's just things that I've experienced throughout college. But if I were at a younger age, it would have affected me more. But I feel like now that I'm older and now that I know that there are people in the world that are, dumb. So like I know how to act within that situation.
Yeah.
But I feel like just where I go to, like with Dami, we personally, like there's nobody that comes up to us and just say like, hey, you're Black, I don't like you. Like
Yeah.
it's more so, and not even the teachers do that. It's more so like here and there, like, sometimes they'll switch up their how they talk to you, just like, just for like a brief second, or they'll
Yeah.
do this or do that just because they see like who you are, like what you look like, or and sometimes it happens at parties too, or like different big events. It's just where you go to on campus that's like it either raises or lowers the like percentage chance that you're exposed to that.
Yeah.
People outside the Black community.
Gloria, what has been your experience? Have you experienced any of what they're saying, or has your experience been different, or have you, had to deal with blatant racism?
It's honestly a mix, only because I've always surrounded myself around like like-minded people, and that just happened to be Black people because I felt a sense of belonging. So I haven't really experienced too much. I've only like, I guess, witnessed from like secondary viewpoints.
Yeah. So do you guys feel, and Tommy, 1 second before we get to you guys, do you guys feel like, or rather, let me ask him this before jump. Tommy, have you experienced this at all with anybody? Any form of racism since you've been in college?
Everything that you guys have been saying, I've experienced. Like I've experienced white girls calling me sis just because like they feel like they had to. I'm like, I'm not your sister. Like, why are you calling me sis? Or they're like use certain terms that are like more common around Black people just around me. But then like when they're alone, they talk normally. And like my white friends that I have, I try to have white friends who I know like are kind of like, the term is woke, like they're socially aware and like they know how to use their privilege. And like I had a couple of white friends last year who kind of showed me that they weren't really there yet. Like they were saying things about Trump that were kind of like supportive. So I had to cut them off, which is very like sad, but it had to be done. Like I wasn't gonna I tried to educate them. I really tried, but they just like, they just weren't getting it. So I was like, I can't associate with you anymore. But speaking beyond a personal point, like going to PWIs, like it has an anti-Black history. So there's a lot of like institutionalized like procedures and stuff that haven't changed yet, such as like when a Black-led student organization hosts an event, like the campus police presence is way higher than if it was a white-led event. And that kind of already raises tensions because like, why are all these cops here? We just here dancing and eating.
Yeah.
And things like so on my campus, there's a current like situation going with these 2 dorms that are named after slave owners. And there's a petition going around to like change the names. And it's been happening since last year, but because of the recent Black Lives Matter movement, Towson just now decided, I said Towson. My school just now decided to like acknowledge it and like discuss changing the name. So I'm glad that they got pushed to that point. It's like, how are you gonna have Black students on the campus like living in a dorm named after people who oppressed them? Like that's not how we excel. That's not how we change things. So I'm glad that they're stepping up to do that.
Okay, great. So now somebody's asking that, would you guys recommend, based on your experiences so far, right, for people who are just starting to look into colleges for their children, would you guys recommend HBCUs or PWIs?
It really depends, honestly, because I've been and visited to an HBCU campus a bunch of times, and I've had family members and friends that have gone there, and I know like the difficulties with going there. So it's more so about how dedicated you are to wanting like to go to an HBCU. Like I feel personally through like what I've experienced and what people like who like experienced that told me, it's more so how dedicated you are to the thought of going to an HBCU, because it is hard being there because you have to tackle both the faulty administration along with like school and stuff and all of your other endeavors that you have. Whereas like, I'm not saying going to a PWI is better, but because they're more funded, which is so unfortunate that they have more, some PWIs, their administration is like garbage, but it's more so you don't have to deal with the, I don't know, like some, you know, like the faulty, like things that would happen in an HBCU. So it's more so how dedicated they are to that thought of going there. And then there's also the fact that there are some diverse, I don't know if you could say diverse PWIs, but I guess the school that I go to, it's relatively diverse, but it's more so what you want in your child or what your child wants in themselves, but also they need to think about the fact that, you know, not that they're taking a risk, but they need to be ready for that, you know, burden that they need to carry. And not that they'll be alone with it, because they'll have thousands of other students dealing with the same thing, but it's also about how they personally, like individually handle that, you know, situation.
Yeah. I totally agree. Dami? Okay, so Dami, you have a younger sister, right?
Yeah.
Who's, you know, she's following your steps. Would you recommend, you know, if your mom or your dad were to say, okay, should we do an HBCU versus a PWI for your sister? What would be your advice? What would you suggest?
So the first thing, my advice is, when I tell my sister all the time, is you don't want to go to a PWI solely because it's a PW. You want to go to a HBCU solely because it's Black people and it's HBCU. I think what you need to do is tie in a whole bunch of different factors. You want to make sure they have the major you're considering and backup options too. You want to also make sure, look at the financial aid, what type of financial aid they give you. Because like when we do talk about HBCUs, we talk about they are underfunded. And when it comes to your financial aid package, it is harder to get financial aid. But if we're going to go down to that, you look into specific schools and see, okay, how are they with their financial aid package? And I also look at, if you do want to attend a PWI, make sure you go to a diverse one. When I say diverse, you can look at the percentage of white people and look at the percentage of Black people and see, is it 9% Black people and 80%? Like, you want to see, because the school I attend, I feel like it's pretty well. But if you were to go to another PWI, the percentage of Black people is so low that you feel like, oh, I'm an outcast, I'm the only Black person here. At Towson, at the school I attend, it's not like that. It's like, it's certain classes is like that, but like, I really want to say, don't go to school solely because it's a PW, or solely, like, look at other factors, look at the environment around it, but how far is it from your house? Like, look at the location around it. Is it like a place where is there a mall close to it? Like, you have to look at other factors. You want to go to school solely because of one reason. Like, you want it to be multiple. Also look at the dorms. Like, look at the places you're going to be living. Is it a good dorm? Is it a bad dorm? Like, the food, like, all this stuff is stuff.
So there's so many different factors to look at.
So don't solely do it because, oh, I want to go to HBC because I want to be around Black people, or I don't want to go to PWI because I want to go to LA. That shouldn't be the main reason, but it should play a huge factor. So that's why I tell my sister all the time, if you look into going to PWI, look at the percentage, look at everything that you find that's important to you, and look at, and even PWIs that have low percentages of Black people too, they can have great dorms, great food, but like, are you going to be comfortable? Are you ready for that uncomfortability and stuff like that? So that's why I tell my younger sister. And that's how I chose. Sorry.
Awesome. Great. Lola?
Yeah, so I totally agree. I think like my school, there's like a lower Black percentage than a lot of other schools. Like the Asian percentage is larger than the Black percentage. So we're not even like the biggest minority on campus. But like, I think one thing that kind of gets overlooked is there are typically like good Black communities. You're not the only like Black kid out of everyone who is considering that school, and you're not the only one who's like going there. Because when I got to my school, it was like I immediately found like a huge Black community there, and because of that, it never made me feel like, oh, I go to this PWI. Like, it doesn't even cross my mind half of the time because I'm surrounded by so many other Black people in a lot of the events and stuff I go to. So I wouldn't necessarily say like, I do agree with Prince's point where it's like, you would have to be really dead set on like, I want to only go to a school with mainly like other Black people. I think another thing to kind of consider is the Black community itself is pretty diverse too. If you're someone who grew up in like an African household, or you even like immigrated from Africa or something, or like Jamaica or something,
Yeah.
you might have still like a different upbringing or still like different aspects to your culture and who you are compared to some other people you meet at an HBCU. So it's not necessarily like there's like anything wrong with that, but just like still consider you might not necessarily be going to the homogenous atmosphere you think you're going to. Like there's still a lot more there's still a lot more diversity within the Black community too. So it's not just like one specific kind of person, I guess.
Debbie? Okay.
Yeah, and addition to what Dami and Lola said, it also has to be your mindset and how you're gonna decide to go about things and take things. Like I refuse to get angry. I don't get angry with outsiders. So if you're one that you know that you're not really like be happy with how people may come at you, I would say that you should also look into of course the area, like what specific school you're going to. Like Auntie, like the school that I went to like just last year, like I purposely did like the idea of going to that school only because it's in the same county that we live in. But like I had a friend who was telling me about a school he went to in Ohio, and it's pretty similar to the school that I just previously went to. And he experiences straight up racist, like straight up like to him. And he does not have the mindset. He doesn't like to get angry, like stuff. Like yes, of course he's gonna like let them know, like tell them off. But it's his mindset about how he goes about things. So it also has to be the way you think about it. Like I said, like the way I treated the microaggression for like my friends there at UMD, like someone else may not take that lightly and may not really be happy with what they said, and be like, are you assuming that I'm going to be an angry Black person? Like yeah, so it also has to be your mindset and how you're going to take things when it actually does come at you.
Okay. Awesome, great. That's a great responses. So somebody is asking them. So questions, people are asking questions on YouTube, right? Somebody's asking and saying that, will all the experiences you guys have had so far, right? Being Black students and kids, do you think this will have an effect on where you live, where you work, when you guys do get married? Do you feel like all your experiences so far are impacted, or rather will impact those decisions? Is there anything that you guys have experienced so far? You're like, oh yeah, when I get married, when I work, when I can't work in this place, or I can't work with this kind of people, or I can't live in this kind of community, or Dami, you wanted your hands up.
So ever since middle school, high school, I've always been around people who are like-minded. Like I surround myself with people who think like me, but like we're all different. Of course, like Lola said, like people within the Black community, everybody has different personalities, different backgrounds and stuff like that. But I've really opened my eyes throughout high school and even college now that I'm really not going to be friends with someone who chooses to have different political beliefs as me, because they always say, they're like, oh, you can surround yourself with people with different political beliefs. Now I'm not taking that at all. I mean, I've always been like that for the past couple of years, but now I'm not taking that at all. I refuse to marry someone in the future or co-work. I won't take that lightly anymore. Because I feel like in the past I've been like, okay, it's all right. If you want to say this, like in the past I've had heated arguments with people about stuff like that. I'm not taking that anymore. When it comes to sexism, equality, equity, if you have different opinions with me, stuff like that, I'm not taking that lightly anymore. So when it comes to what's going on right now, I'm not surrounding myself with people, because it's constantly draining to be arguing with someone about your identity. Like if I'm Black and you tell me, oh, well, I don't see color, I'm not going to be friends with someone who have to constantly feel like, I feel like it's so draining. So moving forward, I'm not going to surround myself, whether that's dating, work life, or stuff like that. I've chosen, like, I'm not doing that anymore. Because in the past, like, I don't want to be the advocate for the whole Black community when I'm talking to someone who's supposed to be my friend. Like, I've been there, I've done that. It's draining. I'm not doing that anymore. So,
but some people, when they say I don't see color, they could mean that from a good place, though, in the sense that I see a human being versus an Asian, a white person, a Black person. And, one of the ways I think is like, listen, if we should just slice your hand a little bit, and there's red blood from there, you're human. And I think that everybody needs to be accorded the same level of respect and resources and whatnot. Now, if you cut you and you're bleeding blue or green, that's a whole different ballgame, because you're not human at that point in time. So I know some people have good intentions when they say, I don't see color. It means they're just thinking we're one human race, right? But some people, some people try to be very slick
Mhm.
about that, about using that kind of comment.
Yeah, I meant like the people who were like, I don't see color, I don't see as a Black woman. Well, being Black is my identity. I go out and I'm Black, whether I want to admit it or not, I'm a human, but I'm Black. So when I see stuff like people say like, well, I don't see color, I don't see like racism goes on every day. Like you said, microaggressions.
Yeah.
You all go through it. So as much as I don't want to see color either, that's my identity. So I meant in that time where like people that dismissively say it like that. Like if you want to say like I don't see color, like I want to see everybody as equal. Okay, but like, I feel like that phrase itself leans more towards like I don't see you as a Black person. Well, I am Black.
Yeah.
I get put over
okay.
because I'm Black. So sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. So Prince, you wanted to say something?
I feel like that goes hand in hand with like the all lives matter type like mindset. And I feel like, yes, all lives matter. And but we've been put in like society has placed us in different, groups, like races. And I feel like it's impossible as of right now, even like right now, to be like, I don't see color, because what is happening in society right now is that people see color and use it like against us. And I feel like as like maybe like right now we got to throw that out the window, because I'm not saying that not all lives matter, but you got to see that there's a certain group of people that's being,
Need the help right now more than
like
ever.
they need help. Yeah, exactly. Like I understand like the mindset of wanting to treat everybody equally, but it's like everybody is at, that baseline, and then Black and Indigenous are right here.
Yeah.
So like, how can you not see color, but then the color like that's being mistreated is the outlier from everybody else? Like we can't, like there's no way that you can still be like that in this type of situation, which is why I say like, sorry?
No, go ahead.
Oh, which is why I say it's kind of not, I don't like that mindset of being like saying all lives matter is good, but in this type, like right now when everything is, when there's friction in the community, I feel like that statement, that, mindset should be thrown out the window for a second and really look at what's happening.
Yeah.
Not to say it's a bad mindset or anything.
No, so what I'm saying is this about the, the I don't see color thing is you have to look at the context in which the person is having that conversation. I think it differs a lot from the All Lives Matter movement. So I remember recently, I think last month, we had a conversation, at work, something like this, where they were asking us, oh, how do you guys feel? We just wanted to open up and, let the Black people talk or whatnot. And we just want you guys to know that we're there for you and whatever. It's corporate, And, of course, people were talking, everybody was saying all kinds of things. And then you always have that one person, a mini Karen, who would start with the whole, I believe all lives matter. She's married to a police officer, or no, not married to a police officer, but she has police officers as family members. And she knows that. So not all police officers are bad. I was like, please, stop. Don't go any further.
It's a piggyback for you.
I was boiling already. I was like, madam, please, auntie, stop it. Don't let the Nigerian in me come out. Stop already. And my analogy with her is, I said, for the, all lives matter thing, let me just mention, I said, this is the way that I can explain it, the best way to explain it in layman's terms for even the dumbest person to understand what we're trying to do here is this. Imagine a house, a street, different kinds of houses, beautiful, you have a townhouse, you have single family home, you have, Mediterranean home, you have whatever it is, different beautiful houses there. People live in those houses. Now, in this analogy, the houses represent people, right? And then one of the houses is on fire, unfortunately catches fire. You guys are you're going to call 911, they're going to have the firefighters dispatched and come to the house. When they come to the street, have you ever seen where the firefighters are going to be dousing all the houses with water? Or you're going to see them focus on that house, especially if it's not a townhouse or a condo where everything is joined together. Like each house is sitting on its own. They will focus all of their attention, right? All of the resources that they have to put the fire with, they focus it on that one house that's on fire. So I was like, that one house that's on fire in this analogy is the Black community. So you see how we're saying that we're not saying that if all the other houses on this street were to catch fire, they will get that same level of attention, right? You even have your native Indians who are constantly fighting for their land and for other things. They're on fire too in a different aspect as well, right? You have other people who are fighting for immigration and everything. That's a different fire. But this one fire we're talking about is about the Black lives, about Black community. That's a house on fire on the street. This street is the humanity lane. It's the world. And there's one community, one house. And that's the house we're focusing on. So let's just pay attention to the house. You're not going to carry a bucket of water and pour in a house that's not on fire. It makes no sense. Or you get into, in trouble. I mean, sorry, are you when you get pulled over by a police officer, are you afraid? Are you fearful like the way we would be? Are you putting your hands on the dashboard? No, you're not. So Karen Jr., just be quiet and stay where you are, please. Let's stop this behavior, So somebody else had a question. Well, rather not a question. So we were talking about the HBCUs, right, versus the PWIs. I think, okay, so the question the person had was, do you guys believe the PWIs consider Black students when recruiting and retaining faculty? I think we talked about that a little bit. Like, do you guys feel like they do more to bring in Black students? And she's also asking, have you guys had any Black teachers? Lola?
They're talking about like faculty. That's like the main question.
Yes. So hold on, Lola, before you go. Hold on. Guys, we have to, Prince has to go because he is going to organize a Black Lives Matter movement meeting. Is that correct, Prince?
Yeah, I have an event for 4th of July. Like, basically it's talking about who's really free on the 4th, because America celebrates a holiday, but then excludes like the fact that so many people were enslaved during that time, and different groups of people, Black and Indigenous, were mistreated during the time where America celebrates like their so-called liberation. And I, along with a couple other people, are going with our collective to direct that event right now.
Okay, so great. That is awesome. I'm very ecstatic that you are involved in that, because I was going to go to my other questions later on, is you guys' level of involvement and in ensuring that these things are addressed. But I'm very glad. I want to say thank you so much to Prince for joining us. We are going to let you know.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. We are going to round this up, guys, by 1:30. So we're going to throw in all of the questions, and then we have a performance by Lola as well, who just released her single. So you guys hang on in there. Prince is off. Everyone just say bye to Prince. Prince, thank you so much. He is out. All right. So Lola, you wanted to answer that question. We're talking about faculty.
Okay.
What's your faculty looking like?
So I've actually had, I think, about 2 Black professors so far. I've been going to my school for 2 years. So I think it was interesting for me just because I know that the first professor I had was for an immigration class I took, and she like teaches in like government and politics and stuff, and like really high level stuff, and she's worked in DC. And then my other Black professor was my marketing professor, and he's like done a lot of stuff on his end. So I think in terms of faculty, even though it wasn't like as much, I've taken like quite a few classes, I guess, in my 2 years, and it was only 2 of them that were Black professors.
Was only 2 of them that were Black?
Yeah, it was only 2 of them that were Black.
Wait, so are you guys saying that, so in your school, you go to a PWI school, right? So you're saying that so from what you've seen so far, right, your faculty, you have predominantly white lecturers and faculty members that you do.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. So I wonder what we need to do. We need to start getting more people in education, more Black folks in education and teaching. Or do you guys think that the Black professors or teachers are leaning more towards the HBCUs? Like they would rather go teach there?
I think that, well, because I think a lot of professors are tenured, and it depends on the department too. Mm-hmm. So it's like, for example, for like business and stuff like that, you have a lot of tenured professors, and then you also have a lot of professors who or like have spent years in their field. So, and a lot of them like didn't necessarily start out as professors and keep going from there. A lot of them worked for a long time, and then they're like, okay, I'm going to come back and be a professor. So I mean, because I'm a business major, or I have business majors, I think in terms of my own experience, it's just been, a lot of my professors are just old, period. So it's just like, how many Black people are willing to come back, I guess, to teach. And I guess that's like just how the course of your life looks. In terms of my other professor who taught the immigration class, that was kind of unique because I know that she teaches like government and politics and stuff, but she's like from Jamaica and she has like a like Jamaican accent and everything, but there was no like it was really impressive, I guess, to see that. So I wish like I would see a lot more professors because it wasn't like an African American history class or anything. She like teaches upper level gov politics, so she knows this country. So it was like, yeah. So I mean, I wish that there would be a lot more professors like that because I feel like that's the kind of thing that we need to see more people doing.
I agree. Yeah. Tommy, do you have any thoughts on that? What's your faculty like? Do you have more Caucasian professors versus Blacks, or?
I haven't had any Black professors since I came to my school.
I'm sorry, what?
I haven't had any Black professors since I came to my school. They've all been white. Majority.
I wanted to be sure I heard it correct.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
You've been there, what, 2 years now? You're going for your sophomore year now, right?
Yeah, so I've had 4 different semesters, not one Black professor. And it's a definitely a culture shock because like growing up where I grew up, I've only ever had like Black teachers and Black principals. I've seen Black politicians, Black mayors. So it was just like, wow, this really is a different world here. Cause like, and it's sad because some kids grew up never even seeing Black people in leadership to begin with. So then like, when you have like higher institutions where it's still an issue, like, it's just like, when is it gonna integrate?
Wow, that is quite interesting. So parents who are listening and watching this right now, what do we do, guys? Let's handle this in the comment section. So this, I think, is a discussion for the parents in the comment section. We just heard one of our college students say that she's been there for 2 years now. She is going to her sophomore year. She's had 4 semesters and she's never once had a Black professor, guys, all white. So that just, I think that's a discussion that we need to have with the parents. Like, what can we do? Do we need to have more Black people? I know a lot of us don't, well, a lot of Black people don't like to teach, or I don't know what it is that we need to do, but I think that is something that we actually need to have a discussion about. And where do we effect this change? How do we get more professors of color into these colleges so that our students have a very balanced, right? Very balanced set of teaching experiences, because I can imagine the culture shock, like Tommy said. And let me ask you this, right? Did you find the style of teaching? Now I know the level of teaching is going to be higher than than the teachers you had when you were in high school, but did you feel like you learned? How do I put it? Do you feel like the teaching styles were a little different because of color? Or wait, was it a little difficult for you to kind of get used to certain things and expectations or whatever? Not because you're in college, but were there times where you feel like, if this was an African-American teacher or a Black teacher, this, you know what I mean? This experience would be different. Were there times where you felt that way?
Actually, I can say no, because like most of my classes were like science classes or math because of what my major was. So like, it was not really like the social aspect of it didn't really apply in those cases, because like we were just like told what to do, what to calculate, and told to find information ourselves. I can say that for the education classes that I've actually preferred those teachers, because being an education like teacher, like professor, you have to kind of have an open mind and tell teachers, like, you have to raise the students, not raise, what should I say? Mold them into teachers who are more open-minded. So those professors are already like very aware, and they kind of actually teach us how to be better at recognizing our like how we enforce stereotypes onto students, things like that. So I would say like definitely education classes are definitely a must. People should definitely take them. Also sociology, people should definitely also take that class.
Yeah. Okay. Gloria, 1 second, Lola. Gloria, what do you think?
Yeah, I also say the same. I haven't really experienced much.
Okay. Have you, like, most of your professors all white, or have you had Black professors?
It was maybe one Black professor, That
One
wasn't
Black professor.
that wasn't even for a long time. I think it was like about half of the semester, and then we did like the rest online. So I didn't have much experience with them at all, and they had just started too.
Okay. So one of the parents is saying that there are Black professors out there. It's just that they're not hired, and that the ones that get in find the environment intolerable, so they don't stay. You know what I mean? So again, now we have to, there's so much work to be done, guys. So much work to be done. Lola, go ahead.
Yeah, something I kind of just like thought about was I feel like at least growing up, seeing I mean, just being a teacher, not necessarily just a professor, but teacher in middle school, high school, at all levels, I feel like teachers are kind of looked down on professionally a little bit. Like, they most definitely don't get paid as much as they really should get paid. So I think a lot of people don't necessarily go out of their way to pursue that, even if it's something they're interested in. I had a friend who she had to go out of her way to really convince herself that she wanted to go into education. So I think there's also kind of like, how do you sort of incentivize people to say to forget all the other things that they might, all the sort of prejudice or the kind of expectations they might have for the profession, and to kind of go for it, to be that voice there. I guess that's kind of something that might need some work.
Okay, Daddy, sure.
Yeah, so I've had 3 Black professors, and it's something I actually didn't think about until now, but they felt the need to mention that they have their masters or their doctorates. I don't know why. I never thought about it. I was like, oh, and then I think about, well, my other teachers never had to do that. Of course, yes, I've had white teachers who were, of course, doctor, but they never had to, they never had to clarify, oh, doctor. But I remember one of my Black professors, he said, it's Dr. Johnson. I'm like, oh, my apologies, So I feel as though yes, of course, Black teachers do apply, but it's like you said, like what the comment said, that they're not hired, and obviously based off, it could be different, but based off my experience, it's as if they only hire people who have such a high education. If you're average, if you're an average white man who teaches, I think it'd be fine for you. Or if you're an average Black man who teaches, like I said, I'm not sure, but based on what I've seen, it may be harder for them to get into a PWI school for them to teach the students.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right, good to know that. So let me ask you this. This is just off the college questions a little bit. We're going to open up the lines so that people who want to call can call in the next few minutes, and then we can also hear the last song. Now, I'm asking this question because of Dami's comment about the names, right? When you're in school and you introduce yourself and say, my name is Oluwadamilola Komolafe, and and then people start to shorten your name. There's Dami, there's Ola, and they just want to call you what is convenient for them, right? Do you guys like the fact that, I think everyone here has a typical Nigerian name except Gloria, first name wise. Do you guys like the fact that you have your Nigerian names, or would you have preferred to be a Maria or Mary or James? Tommy, go first.
Okay, well, my name is pretty long, so it's like
your name is not even pretty. What do you mean your name is pretty long? Aya Tommy. Your first name is
Akinlo Sotu. Like just the fact that it's so people find it so hard to pronounce, and it's even though I grew up in PG County, you still experience discrimination within the Black community. I've had people call me African booty scratcher, all types of stuff because of my name. You never heard of that?
Oh, you got another thing coming. Every Nigerian has gone through that. Every African.
I don't
Gloria
know what it is. It's just lack of education, I guess. I don't know. It's just closed-mindedness. Obviously we all grew out of it at some point, but being young and being African, you definitely go through a lot with that.
Okay, so let me say this to all the parents that are listening, and you guys too. If your child, everybody needs to have this conversation with their kids today, right? And I'm going to have a conversation with my son, Mayo. Mayo, come down here.
Mayo.
Anybody, if your child ever comes home and says somebody called me an African booty scratcher, please call me. I will be the person. Call me. If you don't want to then have a conversation with that person, I will on behalf of all the Nigerian children in Maryland. If you want me to come to another country, let me know. You pay for my ticket and my flight, but call me. I will be there. I will show them what a booty scratcher can do. They're very stupid. I'm allowed to say that on YouTube. Mayo, come down here, please. Hi, we're still on the show, so don't say anything silly. Has anybody ever called you an African booty scratcher before?
No.
No? Okay, if anybody should ever call you that, just say, okay, no problem.
Well, it isn't like a joke at our school.
What do you mean it's a joke in your school?
I'm telling you.
So they call who?
No, they don't call anybody African booty scratcher. It's like when they say it sounds kind of funny.
That's
So you-
not
you
good.
laugh.
No.
Okay, so are they calling are they saying that? Are they saying, oh, you African booty scratcher, or they just
No.
did they put the word African or they just say booty scratching?
African booty scratcher.
So who are they referring to when they say booty scratching?
I don't know.
What do you mean? Are they speaking to the moon?
No.
If anybody should ever look at you and say, you, Mayo, you're an African booty scratcher, just nod your head. I got something for you. Call me. I will show
And
up.
me too.
Yes.
Call me too.
And call Tommy too. We will show
Yes.
up. We'll know that you have African booty
Because I'm the one that's gonna drive Tommy.
Yes. Glory's gonna drive me.
Let's show them what African booty was. They're very silly. Okay. So given all of that, guys, that means when you have a daughter or a son, if you're married to a Nigerian man, because that's our first priority. Otherwise, your dad is going to shoot somebody. Because your dad is going to shoot somebody. Uncle Tom saying, hey.
Oh,
Okay.
Mhm.
Would you and your husband, if your husband is like, oh, I want to name our child, typical Nigerian name, Oluwa something, Olu whatever, Ade whatever, would you say, or you'd be like, okay, well, what would your reaction be? Or would you prefer to just have like an English name?
I'm for both. I'm not anti like non-Nigerian. My experience personally was I had to learn to love my name and I had to learn to love my culture, because when you're younger and being a Nigerian, it's like everybody tells you, oh, you need to shorten your name, you need to stop speaking Yoruba, you need to stop. It's like it distance you away, and as you grow up, you kind of have to learn to love it again. I feel like most Nigerians I talk to, or Africans in general, have that experience. So when I was younger, when they used to say my name, I'm like, oh my God, here comes my anxiety. That's my name. But over a while, I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. Yeah, you can shorten if you like. So I think, I don't know if it built me the person I am today. I can't really tell that, but I had to learn to love it. So I would love to name my child a Nigerian name. But like when it comes to my name and stuff, I just had to learn to love my culture and to love my name. And that took a lot of time. Like even up to high school is like when I was like set on this. All through middle school, elementary, I hated my name. I hated when my parents speak Yoruba, but now I'm like, okay, that's my culture. Like I need to learn to love it. So I feel like it kind of builds character, I guess, but I'm fine with it now. But like when I was younger, like I said, like you really, it toughens your skin, I guess. But I love to continue the culture. Like you are Yoruba, you are Nigerian. I love to continue that, but I do.
Be proud of.
Yeah, but I do say it does add a little, I wouldn't say a target on your back, but it does add, like people are gonna say stuff, but
yeah,
I feel like it just like it makes you Nigerian, like I don't know, it adds to the culture and stuff. Like
there's
now,
nothing wrong with being Nigerian.
no, there's nothing. Even now, I'm still so.
Pride.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Darby, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I actually think that all Africans, especially, well, we're going to focus on Nigerians, that they should have their kids have like a Nigerian first name. They can have an American middle name because I do, but and they of course their regular last name. And I say this because you need to of course have pride in where you come from. Like if you want to change your name, if you want your child's first name to be American, so they don't get bullied, you have to really think about like who you doing it for? Like, are you doing it because you're ashamed of where you are? Or or do you actually just care? I don't know. Personally, I would still give my child a Nigerian first name. Like yes, people did.
I will give you a chicken lap for my barbecue today. Because he lives Lala, sorry, he lives just down the road.
I'm pretty sure I live like 10 minutes away from your house.
So you guys want me to be the auntie that will be driving on 495 with a pan of grilled food? I come to Dami's house. Dami, here's the larger chicken lap and your rib. And Lola, this is yours. And I'll bring some Chapman. We don't do Kool-Aid. We do Chapman in Nigeria and some Fanta and Coke. I can give it to wash it down. But I like your point, Darby. I like that. That's another way to look at it, as keep the culture going. And because before you know what's going on, by the time you guys have grandchildren, they're knowing less and less and less about their history. This is part of why sometimes you have some African Americans who, a lot of them try to do what's it called? That identity.
Ancestry.com.
Ancestry.com. A lot of them are doing it more and more, right? Trying to trace back
where they're from.
When they come. You know what I mean? And we don't want to be those people where 3 generations from now, 4 generations from now, those ones now have to start doing ancestry.com because they have nothing, you know what I mean, that's been tied to them for them to understand and know where they're coming from. And and parents, you know, you guys know, most of the people that are watching this know me very well. I'm a proponent. Make sure your children are wearing African clothes when the occasion comes for it. Take the time to take your children back home to Nigeria on vacation. They will not die. Trust me. It is an experience everybody needs to have. Nobody has ever taken their child before and the child came back and said, I died in Nigeria and I woke up back. No, it doesn't happen that way. They're going to be okay. Okay. And it's a thing of pride. Wear your clothes. You're going to weddings, especially now that you guys are young adults, right? When your mom is going for an Owambe or something, please tag along. It's a cultural experience on its own. Don't say, I'd rather go to the mall. How many times are you going to eat Auntie Anne's hot dog in the morning anyway? What are you going to do? Watch that movie? You can watch a movie next week. You know, that'd be a laughing. No, seriously. Put on your African clothes and go. This is how you get involved and, you know what I mean, be a part of the culture. If you don't know where you're from and you don't know anything about your culture, how are you going to pass this down to your children? And how are your children going to pass it down to their other children? And then by the time you're old, you're like 108 years old, no teeth, then your great-great-grandchild is coming, like great-grandma Dami, you know, can you tell me a little bit about Nigeria? Like, huh? With no teeth. I don't know anything. You were trying to even explain, but you don't have any teeth to even explain about Nigeria because you yourself don't know anything. So this is why I'm all for that, guys. Don't worry, tickets is cheap during in the middle of the year. Don't go during Christmas. If you have 10 children, it's fine. Go off season. Your children would not die if they take a week off from school. I promise you. Take a week off. Talk to the teachers. I have a friend who took 4 kids last year. She was telling me this earlier this year. She took 4 kids. No, family of 5. 3 kids, husband and wife. And all of their tickets were not even up to $2,000. Do you understand me? You can do that. Make it a point to take your kids back home maybe every 2 years, every 3 years. Let them connect with Nigeria back home. There's no witch or wizard that's killing anybody. If the witch or wizard are killing them, they don't go to your village, stay in Lagos. But you get my point. Tommy, you wanted to say something?
Oh, because I never answered the question after I said African booty scratcher. You moved on from me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I was just gonna say that I heard my mom told me she had almost named me Morgan. So I was thinking about how my life would have been different if I had that name. I probably would have had a whole different personality, to be honest, because like I feel like dealing with what I had to deal with being so culturally loud with my name, I feel like it kind of shaped me to who I am. So if I was named Morgan, I'd probably be way more bland. Yeah, and also like I kind of have a regret. I have a regret of not being taught Yoruba at a young age because like it's so much harder to learn now. I've been trying, but I keep asking you. I ask you and grandma to like speak it around me. You guys don't do it, so I'm just like I don't know how I'm gonna learn.
Okay, come. I will speak Yoruba to you, child, but don't drive me crazy. When I'm telling you that, when I say Shomajan, I'm like, huh? Shomajan?
Yeah, you have to tell me what it means.
Don't harm me to death. It's because you people harm me to death. That's why I stopped speaking Yoruba to you guys. Okay, so Dami, I know your parents are watching this, and so my alarm just went off. Put ribs in the oven. Good Lord gracious, we gotta wrap up this call. My ribs are calling me, guys. Okay, so Dami, I know your dad. I can see your dad commenting in the comment section. That my daughter has a Yoruba first name and an American middle name. Okay, so Dami also wants to. Dami, I know you understand Yoruba. Like, wait, all of you guys. I'm sure that the list. There's nobody that doesn't understand my Foitie. If you don't understand anything, you don't understand my Foitie. Gloria is nodding her head. What does my Foitie mean?
I'll slap you.
I'll slap you. Exactly. That's the one. Number one. That's like the Bible. Number one thing in the Yoruba, what's called immigrant parents' Bible, Nigerian parents' Bible. If your child does not understand anything else, my Foitie, because I'm gonna reset your head anytime. If you don't behave, I will reset your head. Especially when you guys are in Target and you just start losing it in Target. Like my Foitie, or you go to somebody's house and they offer you a drink and your mom has already warned you if you eat or if you drink in that place, and then when you go there, they not bring they bring a drink and your hand is already stretching to grab. God, we can go on and on for days. I love being Nigerian, but we gotta go, ladies and gentlemen. So we have a performance by Lola. Lola released a single a couple of weeks ago. Was it a couple of weeks ago now, Lola?
It was like last week.
Okay, so Lola is gonna do a performance of her song for us, and then we can wrap it up for today. So Lola, The floor is
Okay.
yours. Let's hear your song. Tell us the title of your song.
Yeah.
And are you gonna do the full song or are you gonna do a verse and a chorus?
I'm gonna do the full thing. I don't think
It's just a couple of minutes long, guys. So just hang in there. The floor is yours.
So the song's name is basically, it's called Under the Sun. And it's taken from that verse, like, there's nothing new under the sun. And so basically, it's kind of like how I've processed everything that's been going on, because there's a lot of anxiety and anger and fear that, like, we all think about a lot. So that it's kind of like my thoughts on it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. If everyone wants to, like, mute their mic, because I'm not 100% sure if, like, the audio quality is going to transfer there.
I'll mute mine.
Okay, we good? Okay. Let me make sure the volume's good. What you see is different from your reality. What you know changes with every little bump. If we could move the face of time, we would fast forward until we're fine. But we move, feeling worried about what to do. If we could say something is temporary, would you relax? Would it take you back to sleep? We know there's nothing new under the sun. And if something passes, I know we'll be this one. I wish I could say everything is okay, but I'm not the one who has the final say. We know there's nothing new under the sun. And if something passes, I know I'll be this one. For the first time, we're all in the same boat, some closer to the edge. When the waves crash and we don't know how long we can go. We wanna push back, but it's okay. I know we'll find them someday. So we move and try to find something to do. If we could say something is temporary, would you relax? Would it take you back to sleep? We know there's nothing new under the sun. And if something passes, I know it'll be this one. I wish I could say everything is okay, but I'm not the one who has the final say. We know there's nothing new under the sun. And if something passes, I know we'll be this one. If something should be temporary, I wish it would be right now. Da 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 da. Mm-hmm. Nothing new's under the sun. Nothing new's under the sun. We know there's nothing new under the sun. And if something passes, I know we'll be this one. Yeah.
Woo! Yes, Lola. That was awesome. And I'm pleasantly surprised. That is a feel-good music. Your voice is amazing. That was fantastic. So your single, is it on iTunes?
So it's on, like, Apple Music and
On Apple Music, okay.
Spotify, Tidal, all that.
Spotify, everything. So can we download on Apple Music? We can buy it, right?
You should be able to.
Okay. All right. What's the name of this? What's the name of the song?
So it's Under the Sun by Omolola. Like my stage name is Omolola.
Under the Sun like by Omolola. Okay. OMOLA. Did you double your Lola or just Lola?
No, it's just OMOLOLA.
Okay. Woo! Great job. So everybody, please go and stream her song. Let's have the numbers go up. This is how we support one another. I'm gonna have this also on my social media platforms as well. Let's see if we can get some numbers in there for Omolola's single. It was actually, I'm not even trying to kiss you behind. It was good. It was really good. I'm very impressed with you. So we have to wrap it up, guys. We have been here for 1 hour and 37 minutes, and we could continue this conversation all day long. Trust me, it's never a dull moment here, but we have to let everyone go because it's the 4th of July. I want to say thank you. You guys are phenomenal. I'm so proud of each and every one of you. You guys have done a great, great job. Thank you for taking the time to be here. Thank you for being wonderful students, and thank you for being great, children. I'm glad that you guys are in college. You know what I mean? One of the things I've always say to my kids when I'm teaching in church is, no matter what you do, a college education is something no one can ever take away from you, right? That's the minimum, the least you want to ever do for yourself. No matter what it is, other grand plans that you have for your life, at the list, have a college degree, not just education, degree. Because 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now, you have no idea what course your life will take. But one thing is that education will always open doors for you. And it is a huge privilege for us to be in America, and then we can use this education or get this degree, because America is one place where if you have a degree from here, you can take it to China tomorrow and get work. And nobody's going to ask you to go back to school in China. You know what I mean? But if you go to a Chinese university and come to America, America is going to tell you to go back to school and take some classes because they don't recognize those things. So if you're in college here, it is a huge privilege. It's 4 years goes by really, really fast. So hang in there, get that college degree. Make sure you're not one of those statistics. Make sure your siblings, your younger ones as well, are towing the same line that you guys are towing. I'm so proud of you guys. Invite me for your graduation. Invite me for anything. And anybody call you a booty scratcher, tell them you have a crazy auntie. I will come there and show them what's scratching. It's all about, that means laughing. You know me already. I will be there front and center to straighten anybody who comes for you guys. So I love you guys. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful 4th of July. Thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless you guys. See you.
Okay.
And thank you guys for viewing. Make sure you like and subscribe. If you've not subscribed or like this video, everybody please like it though. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Thank you guys.